Hello, everyone. Oh my goodness, look at how many people are already here for the class. And look at all of the comments. You guys were here early. Hello, everyone. Hi. I'm so glad that everyone is here, and I'm so excited to begin today's class. This is the first part. As you know, there are 3 parts to this class, and I'm so excited that you guys are all here with me tonight. I did get some emails from some folks that said that they will be watching this replay back. As you all know, only you guys that have the class link are the ones that are able to watch this video. So you'll want to hold on to the link or save that email, or go ahead and click the the bookmark above. Hello, Cynthia. And that bookmark will allow you to come back anytime to rewatch this class. Now, this part 1 of the class is usually about an hour long. We're probably going to go a little bit longer because we have a lot to cover, and we're going to go through the entire book. So does everyone else have their notebook or their workbook ready to go? Jerry, we're trying to do them for the next consecutive 3 weeks is the plan. Now, whether or not something happens with my schedule and so on and so forth, we are going to try to do everything within the next consecutive 3 weeks is the plan. So what we're first going to do is we're first going to talk a little bit about the notebook. So how many of you guys have already taken a look and kind of leafed through the workbook? By a show of hands. I don't know if you can actually I think you can put up a little, or if you click the little smiley face, I think you can do a hand, or I don't know what you can do. But by a show of hands, how many of you have already kind of leafed through it a little bit? Good. Perfect. So then you have the workbook and not the supplies. That's okay, Tracy. That just means that your supplies are probably still on the way. But if you have any Brutus Monroe products, like the inks and like a blending tool and like a stencil, you'll still be able to follow along. Your box just may still be on its way, obviously, to you. So what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to flip to page 1. If all of you guys have read this, this is just my introduction to you guys. A quick thank you for taking the class. And again, this is just the part 1 of the class. So the part 1 is Ink 101. Part 2 is Surface Spray 101. And then part 3 is Surfaces. So through each part, we go through the ink, the surface sprays, and then the surfaces themselves. Now, you'll notice in your actual box, you have received a couple of different items so that we can do doubles. So we'll use some things in some areas and some things in other areas. But again, we will talk about those as we continue on throughout the class instruction. So the 3rd page, and you guys may have already read page 2. And if you did, thank you. Because then, because I'm not going to read the whole entire thing to you guys. But I think something that is important is that we do talk about page 3. Hello, Gyps. I think page 3 is super important. And this is where we talk about, and we're going to spend a couple of minutes on this, because I want to make sure that you guys understand exactly what the difference is between different types of inks. And as you guys know, there are many different types of inks that are out there on the market. There is not just these 3. There is not just dye, pigment, and surface. There are other types. There are hybrids. There are, all sorts of different types that are out there. But the main 3 that I use and the main 3 that come to my mind are these 3. So these are the ones we're going to talk about today. Sorry, I had to take a sip of my drink. So number 1, obviously, we have the definition of ink. Ink is a colored fluid used for writing, painting, drawing, or duplicating. And then, of course, there's a sentence. The names are written in ink. Now, the 3 different types of ink that we use the most are outlined right here on this page. Number 1 is dye ink. So dye-based ink is generally a water-soluble ink, meaning this ink can be used to watercolor with and will run or bleed when water is applied to it. These inks are very vibrant, and the color is generally very true when dry. These inks are awesome for stamping and blending as they move beautifully across the paper. Now, many of you probably have dye inks already. There are tons and tons of dye inks out there on the market. Most dye inks, you will know that they are dye inks because, again, they will run, they will do different, crazy things when you're using them, and they will, obviously, they're not permanent whenever they're dry, if that makes sense. Then we have pigment inks, and again, quite a few of you probably have pigment inks as well. So pigment-based inks are generally a thicker, more opaque ink, meaning this ink can be used too on darker colored surfaces. These inks are very vibrant, and the color is generally a little bit brighter when dry. These inks are awesome for stamping and blending as, again, they move beautifully across the paper. These inks will take longer to dry and will need heat set to ensure they are fully dry before applying another medium on top. Now, pigment inks, and again, you may have quite a few pigment inks in your collection. Pigment inks are just simply a paint-based, generally a paint-based ink. So if you have the Brutus Monroe Alabaster ink, and let me just hop up real quick because I believe I have a brand new one, and I do. So a pigment ink, and I just want to show you very quickly. I don't know how many of you have the Brutus Monroe Alabaster pigment ink, but if you do have it, you kind of know how this ink works. We do have a pigment ink, obviously, as I'm stating now in our line, and it is called Alabaster. It is the only pigment ink that we currently have, in our line of products. So this is the Midnight cardstock. I know, Jerry, that's why I wanted to spend a little bit of time on this, because I think that it can get kind of confusing. And I'm assuming that a lot of you guys are with me with that. Nope, we're not using any surface sprays today, so let's get that guy out of the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab, and by a show of hands or by chatting, how many of you have pigment inks? Not necessarily the Brutus Monroe pigment inks, but how many of you have a pigment-based ink? I'm assuming probably quite a few of you. You do? Okay. Okay, I'm just grabbing a stamp. Sorry for all the noise. Just grabbing a quick stamp here. Okay. Oh, you have mine? Great. So basically, when you take a stamp with pigment ink, and I'm just using the Brutus Monroe Circle Block, which is one of my favorites, there are some that are pigment-based. They generally say pigment on them. So I'm just going to go ahead and dab this. It's a brand new stamp, so it might not, oh, well, yeah, it's covering pretty well right out of the gate. So you can see how opaque that is. Do you see how opaque that is there? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp this down. And generally with pigment inks, you want to give them a couple of seconds. You want to give them a couple of seconds to have a moment to really adhere to the paper. Now, that is the Brutus Monroe Alabaster pigment ink. You can see how white that is on that piece of paper. Now, one thing to note, it is going to dry whiter than that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp it again. And there's still a lot of ink on there. So you can see it will stamp one more time. So, well, thank you, Vicki. So you can see how much whiter this is here than this one is here. But that's just kind of a ghost secondary image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my stamp scrubber, which I think a lot of you guys got last night. And just so you guys know, if you're still looking for this, we have not taken it off sale yet. So it is still on sale. So I'm going to use the scrubber, and you'll see how clean. My goodness. The squeaky clean, I think it stamps cleaner than they were when they started. Do you see that? The squeaky clean? Oh, my word. Oh, my word. And it smells just divine. So there is how clean the stamp is now. Now, one thing you want to remember when you're using your cleaner with your stamps and inks is keep it open, okay? Keep it open, because if you guys have ever used like if you've ever washed clothes and accidentally left them in the washing machine, you're going to run into some issues. It gets kind of mildewy. So leave it open until it dries is what I always say. But you'll also see here just how beautifully with our pigment ink, you can create almost like a, what's the word I'm looking for? Almost like a dry brush or like a wooden, do you see that there? I'm going to bring that up closer because it's a foam pad, but it's a little bit different of a foam pad because it won't disintegrate on you. But look at that. Isn't that just incredible? Imagine, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more further in the workbook, but imagine doing the ink dragging and imagine how gorgeous that would look on this paper. And again, it's just going to create almost like, and you can create almost like a wood grain effect. And we'll talk about this a little bit later, so we can, show how fun that is. So next up, we're going to talk about surface ink. Now, surface ink is what all of you guys got in your kit. So the surface ink is obviously the Brutus Monroe brand of ink. We're the only ones that have surface ink. Yes, the pigment is actually you'll see it happens with the Brutus Monroe surface inks too. It's more because of the paint base of it. That's why it's very thick. But as we move on to surface ink, I'm going to tell you what kind of how that kind of works out. So surface inks, which are the Brutus Monroe branded inks. Again, there's no one else on the planet that has surface inks, and I'm so glad that you guys got some in your kit. So a surface ink is considered a tribrid ink. Now, you guys are probably saying, wait a second, Christopher, a tribrid ink? I've heard of hybrids, but what is a tribrid? So basically, generally, a hybrid ink, as they're sold on the market, are generally an ink, that is a mix of the dye and the pigment. And they mix them together because they have a lower drying time and they have a much brighter finish. So you may have seen some hybrid inks out there on the market that you've probably purchased or you've seen out there, and you can search hybrid ink and you'll see many, many manufacturers. But, oh, good, Tracy, but the surface inks are actually a tribrid. So what that means is, and I've outlined it here, this means that the surface ink is made up of 3 main components to create the final ink. The coloring in the surface ink is a dye base, which we're going back up to here, which makes the colors very vibrant. The binding agent, which allows the colors to blend and seem almost opaque on paper and other surfaces. So now we're talking about the pigment. So if we had these two together, that is what would make a hybrid, right? So a hybrid ink, if we put these two together, that is essentially what would create our hybrid ink. But we're going to take it one step further. So the third ingredient, or the final ingredient in the surface ink, is a chalk additive. So the chalk additive makes the inks permanent on almost any surface. Something you may not know about the surface inks, and something that I'm glad to teach you guys about today, is they are permanent on almost any surface. That is why we call them surface inks. But they're very different because you can use them to watercolor, you can use them for ink blending, you can use them for all sorts of different fun things. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. So just to kind of recap, and I'll open the floor for any questions, dye ink is, again, it's a water-based ink. It's an ink. They are permanent on glass, Fatima. That's one of the best parts. What do I mean about permanent? So, Vicky, we have used the surface inks on coasters. We've used them on glass. We've used them on, ceramic coasters. We've used them on wood. We have used them on metal. And I wish I had the board here to show you. One day, remind me on another live. I'll show you the board. We have a board that has everything that it's permanent on. It's permanent on fabric. It's permanent on glass, metal, ceramic, you name it. We've tried it on it, and it's completely permanent. Like, for instance, we made some garden spokes that we used for our garden on metal. Those little metal spokes that you can get at like the Dollar Tree. We stamped with my peg stamps, my clickable letter stamps, what they are, and we put them. Yeah, I'll have to show you guys the board because we did it on a very, very intricate. We take it with us to CHA. So that makes it permanent on almost anything. And it's really, really cool. I have a tile that we have at the office. That's awesome. But how do you use water shoe? Oh, I know, Vicky. Isn't that confusing? Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy, Vicky? A lot of folks get very, very confused by that, just simply because normally that's not what we're taught. You know what I mean? We're all taught that an ink does one thing or does another thing. And that's not what the surface inks do. And that is why the surface inks are so unique and so different, and why I love teaching about them, because they are so different. And I can't wait to show you what makes them so different as we continue on. Okay, So does anybody have any questions? Any questions before I move on to the next page? Because you guys are going to get involved. You sure could, Mary Beth. And we have. And we have. You can use them for embossing, Dawn. I'm glad you asked that question. It's just going to depend on what surface you use them on. So if you would use them, say, for instance, on our any of our cardstocks, if you would use them on like the alabaster cardstock, there's a lot of things that you can use them on that you will be able to emboss with. So you can emboss on many, many surfaces with it. We've actually used the surface ink. We've put it on ceramic, and then we've put icicle embossing powder on it, and it is delicious because the color's not – the thing about surface inks is they like to stick. So if you were to put a dye-based ink on a ceramic block, or if you were to put or a ceramic coaster, or if you were going to put a surface ink on like this, a dye-based ink on our acrylic blocks, if you were to do that, what is going to happen? Does anybody know? Has anybody ever put a dye-based ink on a block before? I'm sure some of you guys will have the answer. Have any of you guys ever put a dye-based ink on a block before? I'm sure you've seen a lot of people that will happen. Yes, that is, well, sometimes it stains, Connie, yes. Puddles, yes, yes, Fatima. It beads up, Vicky, yes, very, very good. It beads up. So what that means is it's trying to solidify to itself, if that makes sense. It's trying to bead up. It's going to turn into a puddle, really, is what's going to happen. And I'm going to show you very quickly what happens because I can very easily get off course, but I want to share this with you. So this is the plum ink, the plum surface ink. Watch what it does when you put it onto a block. Do you see that? It is not beating up at all. It is solid on there. It is completely solid, okay? It's not beating up at all. So it wants to stick to this. So I could technically take another stamp and I could stamp something on here and it's not going to bead up. Now, what I do want to do fairly quickly is I do want to get this off of my block because it will stay. So that's why and you can see, look how amazing look how the Squeaky Clean, and this is something I want to share with you guys before Squeaky Clean is sold out again because I'm going to do this demo on Monday. Do you see how the Squeaky Clean just kind of eats away at the ink? Isn't that so cool? So the Squeaky Clean was engineered to really pull and remove any ink, really any ink out there. It really, really removes any ink that's out there. And it's just so, so cool. So, so cool. Oh, you just tried it on metal, Mary Beth? I know. Isn't that incredible? You just want to make sure that you heat set it. Just make sure you heat set it. If you stamp, actually, it will not, Dawn. It will not. It will not. And that's something that's really cool as well. So you can see here, I'm probably going to still have to clean this up a little bit because, let me show you. Do you see how it's still stained on there a little bit? Because it almost immediately wants to stick to this. Do you see that? I'm rubbing my finger on here. The only thing that will really take that off completely is going to be rubbing alcohol. Isn't that cool? Isn't that super cool? It's very different. Very, very different, which is what I think is so fun about it. Okay, so any other questions before we move on to the next page? I know it's this circle is my absolute favorite. There are some other folks that now have this circle, but I love that ours again has the cross on it, so you can make sure that everything is centered. I don't like all the blocks on it. I just thought a simple cross was perfect for ours. Any other questions? No questions? Okay, so let's flip to the next page. And the next page is all about ink blending, okay? So now we're going to talk about ink blending, all right? So I want you guys to grab your travel mat. I hope most of you guys have gotten this out already. I'm just going to rip mine open. But grab your travel mat. Okay, and I want you to lay it out on your desk. okay? Kind of set up your desk similar to how mine is. Do you see how my desk is set up here? Set your desk up similar to how mine is, okay? And then you are going to grab your little blendy tools, okay? Some of you may have gotten a small and a super large. Some of you got a medium and a large. It's not going to matter which ones you got. I'm just going to take a moment for you guys to hop on into that. Then you're also going to take your inks that you got. And now some of you got blue family and some of you got pink and red family. So I didn't want everybody to get exactly the same because I didn't want everybody's projects to look exactly the same. So I believe some of you got rouge. There is not a wrong way, Vicky. That is a fantastic question, and I'm so glad you asked it. The way we engineered our mat is there is no wrong side, okay? There is no wrong side. The one side, you can use whatever you would like, Fatima. That's a great question, Fatima. If you have different blending brushes, if you have different blending tools that you want to use, you do not have to use the ones that I provided. I just provided some for you just in case you didn't have blending tools. So if you like, say for instance, you have this tool here, which a lot of you guys I'm sure do, you can use this tool if you would like. You don't have to use the ones that I've provided to you. I just wanted to provide some for you just in case you didn't have them. Okay, did everybody catch that? Yeah, if you have blending brushes, like if you have the Ken Oliver blending brushes, if you have the, I'm trying to think of the other ones, I think Clarity brushes, if you have those, you can use those. Whatever blending brushes you have that make you the most comfortable, you can use. I'm probably going to use this one too. Oh, you bought the big brushes we have? Awesome. I have the full size mat. It is fantastic. Awesome. Yeah, I'm in love with the smaller size now. That's what I'm really falling head over heels for, just because it's a little bit, it's just a little easier, if that makes sense, whenever you have a smaller space. But again, that's why it's called travel, right? That's why it's called travel. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to use this blending tool because this is the one that I have. Again, you can use the ones I provided to you. You can use whatever blending tools you have. And we're going to talk about ink blending. So you're going to grab your inks. If you have Rock Candy and Oz, you'll have the same as me. If you have the Rouge and you have the, there's Rouge and Wagon, I believe, in the other ones, you can use those. And I'm going to show you a little trick. So you may have learned from a lot of folks to take this and go directly here. You can do that, but you can't really control how much is going on there. Because when you hit this, you have no idea how much is going up and on there. Does that make sense? So what I want you to do is I want you to add some ink directly down onto your mat. Do you see that there? Directly down onto your mat. And your ink pad should be very juicy. Very juicy. And now what you're going to do is you're going to grab that color. And now you can see exactly how much you have on there, okay? You can see exactly how much you have on there. So you're just going to pick that up. And now what we're going to do is we're going to start with one color, okay? And we're going to begin blending. And we're going to try to blend this entire circle. Whoops, hold on. Let me get the other pages out of here. Okay, grab a little bit more. And we're just going to blend in this circle. This is a little bit tricky for me to do over the intranet because normally I can see what you guys are blending, but I'm sure you guys are all doing a fantastic job. Normally I can see what you guys are blending in real life, but I'm sure you're all blending just fine. Again, grab your ink, okay? And you're going to continue to blend that entire circle. You're going to want to try to get as much or more of the ink in this center part, okay? So there we go. We've blended part one, okay? And just keep going. Go at your pace. You don't have to go at my pace. Go at your pace. And then I'm going to grab another little blending piece here. And then I'm going to take the Rock Candy, because that's my second color, and apply that onto there. Oh, this is a really juicy pad as well. Very, very pretty. Very, very pretty. And then I'm going to pick this up. And again, if you feel more comfortable going like this, where you take it and you go directly to the color, please do. Please do. I just like when I teach to start you out there, so it makes it a little bit easier. Okay, it makes it a little bit easier. So now what I do is I'm going to flip my paper upside down so it makes it a little bit easier for me to blend now. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to blend in my rock candy, okay? So if you have Wagon or you have the Rouge, and what you want to do is you want to try to go in a circular motion. Do you see this here? Circular motion. And just the same with the other one, you want to go in a circular motion. Oops, Butthead wants to lay on iPad, go to move, get her situated. That's okay. That's okay. We'll be here when you get back. We'll be here when you get back. Whoopsies. Oh, and I just got ink all over my finger. That's okay. I'm just going to lay down some more ink on my mat here. And I'm also going to get my finger cleaned up here, so I'm not covered in ink, although I will be covered in ink by the end. So I'm going to grab that, okay? And again, we're just going to continue in a circular motion. You want to do big circles, big circles. And you can lift up and you can go around. Big circles. Big circles. And just keep on blending. And now what you're going to see, once you're all blended, is you will see a new color in the center. Is everybody with me? Is everybody still with me? Are you all still with me? I'm sure you guys are all probably blending away, and I'm interrupting you, but are you all still with me? Are you still blending? Yes. Good. Keep on blending. You see the new color? Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? And I want you guys to post pictures, if you can, in the Brutus Monroe fan club of your blending once we're all done, because I would love to see how yours is turning out. That's okay, Dawn. The best part is, and the reason that I gave you extras is we're going to do it again. We're going to do it again. We're going to do it again. You filled in the entire second circle. That's okay. You can fill it all in. You can fill it all in. It's okay. It's okay. Okay. Yes, they're very creamy. They're very different. Wagon beads up on my mat. Yes, correct. That is correct, Mary Beth. On this mat, most of the inks will bead up on it because this is a jelly-based mat. That's okay, Amanda. It's a jelly-based mat. So most everything will bead up on this mat. That's completely normal. Completely normal. Okay, so now what we're going to do on the next one is we are going to grab the same inks, but we're going to do opposite. We're going to do opposite. And the reason we're going to do opposite, and this is something that I, do in all of my classes, is because it's going to have you see things a little bit differently. Okay, so now on this side, we are going to begin with the rock candy. And the rock candy is a very light shade. It's a very light shade. It's a, oh my goodness. I should have printed this on cardstock like I told you guys to. I did have a set printed on cardstock, but I lost it at the office, if you can believe. My goodness. I lost it at the office. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take more of the rock candy. And again, just with a light hand, with a very light hand, I'm going to go and just blend that out. I love the rock candy color. I just think it's so pretty. Isn't Oz a beautiful color? It's one of my favorites. And then we're going to take the Oz. We're going to take our Oz here. Pick up some color. Flip your page around. And again, we're going to blend all the way up to the edge of the circle. Okay. See what I'm doing here? Just all the way up to the edge of the circle. And now with this, you're going to see something a little bit different happen. Okay. And this is what's so cool about surfacings. This is what's so cool about surfacing. So if you guys are using the Wagon and the Rouge, that's okay. Just do the opposite. But you'll see that the color almost looks different. Isn't that cool? The color is going to look different because of the way that you have That's okay, Tracy. That's okay. It's going to look a little bit different because surface inks, the way you lose something, no, left alone. The way that whatever order you put it in, it's going to look a little bit different because surface inks react differently the way that you blend them or the way that you put them on top of each other. So they are going to change based upon the actual way that you add them. So do you see? We did the exact same thing. They are CM Hawkins. They're the exact same thing. We just rebranded them. We just rebranded them to Surface Ink. Yep. The same thing that was in the chalk ink is in the surface inks. Yep. We just rebranded them. We changed it from chalk ink to surface ink because it made more sense because it works on all surfaces. So that's why we changed it over. Well, it's working now, Belinda, which is a good thing, right? It's working now. So yeah, so you can see it does something a little bit differently. It does something a little bit differently. See? You guys are learning stuff. That's great. I'm so glad you guys are learning stuff. I'm so glad you guys are learning stuff. Okay, so now I don't want to rush anybody. Oh, I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're here, my friend. Okay, so we're gonna hop right along because we're already at the half-hour mark, if you can believe it. So I want to make sure that I don't take us to like 2 hours. I want to try to stay within an hour and 15 minutes. So I want to try to move on to the next part. But if you're still going, just keep blending because don't worry, you can come back and you can watch this at any time. You can watch this at any time. So now what we're going to do, of course, Tracy. So now what we're going to do is this one. Are you supposed to? Yes, you are supposed to have a light hand when you're blending, Dawn. It does. Isn't that cool, Fatima? If you blend with a lighter one, the color becomes a light mix. Yes. It all depends on what colors you mix. Isn't that cool? So what we're going to do now is this one down here is for you. So this one down here, you can do whatever you would like with it. Do whatever to your heart's content. This one up here, we're going to do something together, okay? Because I want to show you something really fun, and I think that's something that's really cool, again, with your colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Oz first. Hold on. First, let me clean off my mat real quick because I'm not going to use my mat right now, but I am gonna clean it. Oh no, I'm not buffering on my end. Am I buffering for anybody else? Even if it buffers, it'll still play back fine. Am I buffering for everyone? Oh, it's not buffering for everybody? Okay. Okay, good. And now again, I'm using my squeaky clean to get all that ink off my mat. Now you may have some staining on your mat. That's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. I use squeaky clean to clean the mat. But I'm also using some Clorox wipes. So you can use whatever you want. You can use just water if you'd like. But again, the surface inks may stain your mat. Okay? Do you see how this is stained in there? That's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. It's not going to hurt anything. Eventually, it will go away. Okay? I don't want you to get concerned with that. Eventually, it will wear down and go away. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Oz. Hand sanitizer will take it off, Belinda, yes. Sometimes it gets so stained that you're not going to be able. There is not, Mary Beth. That is a great question. You can use either side. They're both the same. The Brutus and Rome mat is actually a jelly-based mat. It's a jelly-based mat. It's not, doesn't have the glass in it like other mats. And I don't know if you guys have had a chance to feel your mat, but isn't it luxurious? I know that's so strange to call a mat luxurious, but isn't it luxurious? I love it. I absolutely love it. All right, so I'm going to use Oz. If you have the Oz and the rock candy, grab your Oz. If you have the Rouge, you can use Squeaky Clean to clean the mat. Absolutely, Dawn. If you have the Rouge and the Wagon, I want you to grab your Rouge. I'm a texture guy, Amanda. So I love like feeling textures and how like It's just a really good mat, you know, just a really good mat. Okay, so I'm going to grab my ink blending tool. Okay, and you can use whichever ink blending tool you'd like. If you have this one, you can use this one. If you are using the ones in the kit, it's up to you. And then you're going to take and you're going to begin blending. And again, light hand. And you're just going to, oh my goodness, hold on. Arm is screaming. That's okay, D. That's okay. We'll still be here. That's okay. That's the great thing about an online class, right, D? Because if you need to step away, you can step away. That's the best part of an online class. That's the best part. Now, your ink may look a lot smoother than mine does because I am under the bright lights. But obviously mine is going to look a little bit washed out. But you're just going to blend, blend, blend. Blend, blend, blend all the way up to this circle, okay? I'm just watching today, and we'll ask questions as needed, and then we'll rewatch. There you go, Belinda. You're a smart cookie. That's probably what I would do. Yes, we're using Oz if you have Oz, or if you have Rouge and Wagon, you're using Rouge. Yep. And now I'm going to go in and I'm going to blend the other side, okay? So I'm going to go in and I'm going to do the same thing. The exact same thing on the other side. And blend, blend, blend all the way out. Yes, with the same color. The same color, yep. The same color. I should have probably prefaced that. I apologize. And I just want you to see how concentrated the color is going to become in the center here. And you'll notice because surface inks actually sit on the surface but also settle into the paper. I know that sounds crazy, but the way that they're made up, because the chalk will not soak into the paper, it sits on top and dries and adheres to the surface. It's going to make this look like this center part. And again, you guys are probably going to do a much better job blending than I am because I don't have it on cardstock. This center part is actually going to look like the cardstock was that color to begin with, okay? It's going to look like that cardstock was that color to begin with. It's so, so cool. It is so cool. And once you get it all blended together, you'll notice that it's going to make it look like, again, that the cardstock it was that color to begin with. And it's almost like a matte kind of a finish that you'll notice once you're done blending. It's really different. It's really, really cool. At least I think it's really, really cool. I hope you guys do too. I hope you guys do too. I hope you guys do too. Super cool. Super, super different, right? Super different. I think that's cool. So does anybody have any questions about the blending that we've done so far? And remember, this box down here, that's okay, Ronnie. That's the best part of this class is you can come back, you can print it again, you can print it as much as you want, and you can come back and you can take this class over and over and over again. That's, I think, the best part. That's fine, Dawn. This class is just the basics and the premise of everything so that you can come back and rewatch this and do it over and over again. Do it over and over again. That's the best part of an online class, right? I think so. Because then you can come back and do it over and over and over again. I think that makes it super fun. Belinda, the colors, it depends on what colors you got. So if you received the, and I guess I can probably write it on here, so if anybody's playing back. So this one here is going to be your two colors. So the two colors that you received, the two colors you received are going to go here. So if you did, oh, you have Oz and Rock Candy. So what I did here is this is Rock Candy. and this side is Oz. And what you're going to do on this side is you're going to reverse them. So now this one is Rock Candy. Okay. And this one is Oz. Okay, so now if you have Rouge and Wagon, so pretend, so this one would be Rouge. Okay, and this one would be Wagon. And then vice versa. So this one would be Rouge. Okay. Gotcha. And you did the circle on the left first on each right. Yep. It doesn't matter. That part doesn't really matter. You can do it however you would like. And this is Wagon. Okay. So everybody, I'm going to save this. I'm going to leave this on here for a second so you guys can see if people are rewatching. And then on this one, let me switch over. On this one, you're going to do the same color. So if you did Oz, it'll be Oz here. This one, Oz here. Okay, same thing. If you, I suggested Rouge. So Rouge here and Rouge here. Okay. Of course, Belinda, that's what's my metal piece, and he said it with Wagon. Awesome. Isn't that cool, Mary Beth? I think it's really cool and really different. Really cool and really different. Okay. So this is how it's all broken down. And I'm glad that you guys actually asked that question because I'm teaching this class at MadeItCon, I believe, and I'm going to take my notes with me. Yeah, isn't that cool? It blends even more as it dries. It's really cool and very, very unique. Okay. And then this one, okay, is a free-for-all. We'll call it a free space. Okay. No problem. This one we'll call a free space, okay? So this one you're going to do with whatever colors you want. And you, again, don't have to necessarily use surface inks down here. If you want to try out your pigment inks, if you want to try out your, say you want to try out your, I mean, I don't know. Say you want to try out your, your dye inks, whatever inks you have, you can try them out down here. But the best part of this is, and this is my favorite part, is, so this is page, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. This is page 4 of the notebook or the workbook. If you need this page 10 times because you want to keep blending, just print out page 4 10 times. Okay? Just print out page 4 10 times. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. Okay. Yeah, you can just keep doing it. You can just keep making swatches and just keep blending. I would just print page 3 and 4 a whole bunch of times. Oh, yeah. You can reprint them as many times as you want. As many times as you want. That's the best part. There's no limit. No limit. Yeah, isn't that cool, Fatima? Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to move on to the next page because this is probably one of my absolute favorite techniques. Absolute favorite techniques. And this is called ink dragging. Okay? Is anyone familiar with ink dragging? Or have you ever heard of ink dragging before I start talking about it? Bear with me one moment. I'm just popping on real quick because I got an email from Rose. It scares you. Don't let it scare you. Don't let it scare you. You have heard of it? You haven't? Yes, like I did with the pigment ink. Oh, you did, Gail? Awesome. Oh, Rose is going to have to, you guys all know Rose. She's on the lives normally. She's going to have to take the class a different day, but that's okay. Oh, don't be afraid of it, Mary Beth. It's fun. It's easy. Super easy. Okay. It depends, Lori. It's going to depend on what ink you're using. With the surface ink, you can use a brush or a sponge. Either way, if you're using a dye-based ink, I tend to prefer the sponge. If you're using a pigment-based ink, I actually prefer to use a brush because it's more of a paint-based. You don't see Fatima in the chat. Fatima's all the way. She hasn't chatted in a couple of minutes. Or a couple of chats. There she is. The brush helps me be light-handed. Yes, Fatima. This can get a little bulky. You know, this can get a little oopsie-whoopsie. Okay, so what we're going to do is now we're going to do some ink dragging. Okay? We're going to do some ink dragging. So I'm going to show you a couple of different techniques. I've given you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes. I'm going to show you probably about 3 techniques, and then the last 2 boxes are going to be for you, okay? Yeah, it's hard to be light-handed. So the first one we're going to do is just a simple ink drag. Now, the way to understand the way our ink drag is going to be a little bit different is because our pad, and you all have surface inks because we provided them with the class, is a felt pad. Now you'll notice that it's a little different than maybe some pads that you have because it's a raised felt pad. Do you see how raised up that pad is? It's got a lot of oomph to it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to be, and again, very light-handed, very, very light-handed. You're going to drag it across your page. Okay? I'm just going to do that first one there. Okay? That's the first one I'm going to do. And I want you guys to do that as well. Whichever one you want. Whichever one you want. Whichever one you want. Okay? So then what we're going to do is we're going to drag it one more time. Still very light-handed. Okay? And you're going to see it creates almost like, it's going to look like almost like it's like wood. Isn't that cool? Oh, yep, I was just about to do that, Dawn. We must be on a delay. So do you see how cool that is? See how cool that is? Yeah, doesn't it look like a wash? Oh, yeah, she maybe does do a lot of ink dragging. She does. She does some really cool ink dragging. Okay, Ronnie, that's because you're dragging, and I'll show you. Let me find a piece of paper. That's okay. That's because you're dragging with it flat down. Let me grab my scrap piece here. I was testing out ink colors here. That means you're going like this. Okay. You want to just drag. I should have been more specific. I apologize. It's my fault, Ronnie. You want to just drag just the end of it. Okay. You want to just drag the edge of it. Okay. Just the edge of it. Okay. All right. So now what we're going to do is everybody there? Is everyone there? Oh yeah, we're going to do that next. Isn't that cool, Ronnie? Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do some ink dragging. This time, you're going to still use the same one. You can switch colors if you want to. But this time, we're going to do a little bit of like a jagged edge, okay? So like this. Just a gentle up and down movement. Okay. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. It's okay, I've done the same thing. So this time you're just going to do the corner again, but you're just going to kind of give it a quick little up and downsy. Okay? I've done that many a times, Amanda. Many a times. Doesn't it look great? Isn't that cool? Just waiting for everybody to get theirs rocking and rolling. Yes, it just depends on how much you bounce it. Just depends on how much you bounced it. So it's going to make almost like clouds or waves or trees or lots of different things, but we use this a lot for grass. It can be really close or it could be farther apart. It's completely up to you. I sure can, Jerry. I sure can. You're just going to basically do it still on the edge, but you're going to bounce up and down as you're going across. And it makes some really, really cool looking grass. Really cool looking grass. An EKG reading, whatever you would like. Whatever. I mean, it's kind of like a Rorschach. It's whatever you see. Whatever you see. Whatever you see. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we are going to combine both of those together. But now this is where it might get a little tricky. So you can watch before you do. You're going to do this in a circle. And I generally move my page and not me. Okay. So just do one part, flip, do another part, flip, do another part, flip, do another part, flip, do another part, and flip. And this way you can create beautiful, beautiful flowers or beautiful, beautiful fireworks. Oh, that's okay. Dawn, just keep doing it. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. No, Vicky, I'm using the entire edge of it. And just keep going. And this is what's going to create your petals or your fireworks or your starbursts, whatever you want, or sunbursts. Do you see how cool those are? And again, just keep practicing. Just keep practicing. And you can also go ahead and use another color on top. That's the cool thing about surfacings. So if you have other surfacings, like for instance, I'm going to take the rouge. If you don't have the other surfacings, that's okay. Someday, you might have all of the surfacing colors. But I'm going to actually take midnight, I apologize. And I'm going to do the same thing on top. And this is going to create a lot of depth. Are you ready? Do you see how much depth that is now created? Okay. So again, I'm going to go in. And it's just super simple. See that? How much depth that's created? It almost looks like one of those wreaths that that folks will make out of that deco mesh. Do you know what I'm talking about? The first layer is going to dry pretty quickly. It's going to dry pretty quickly. Correct. correct, Belinda. So isn't that cool? It kind of looks like those. Correct, Mary Beth. That's why we only have the minis, because you can do lots of techniques with them. Now, I'm not saying that you might not see larger pads coming from us soon. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But you didn't hear that from me. You didn't hear that from me. And luckily, it's our nice, small, quaint audience tonight so that I don't get in trouble. You sure can, Fatima. Yes, closed group. Closed group. You sure can, Fatima. I do always have something in my eye. Wink, wink. Oh, sorry, Ronnie. I'm sorry. I just saw your question. Isn't that cool? I think it's so cool. So, so cool. Yeah, and I can't wait for you guys to post your post yours in the group. Okay, so now this one and this one are yours. Okay, so this one and this one you can do whatever you want with. But again, just like I said, you can create your own ending. Okay, create your own ending. So do whatever you would like. Do whatever you would like with these other two bottom ones, or like I said, you can also go in and you can create, you can print more of these. Print as many as you'd like, okay? Print as many as you would like. Isn't that cool? I think it's really cool. Okay, so let's move on. Because I am going to have some homework for you guys. I'm going to, yes, no admins in here, absolutely. I'm going to have some homework for you guys. All right. Okay. So now I want to talk to you a little about watercoloring with inks. Okay. We are on page. Oh, you want to keep playing, Jerry? That's okay. That's okay. Okay. So this is page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is page 6. This is page 6. That's okay, Mary Beth. It's homework that you can do on your own time. Homework you can do on your own time. Okay, so understanding watercoloring with inks. This is very important, okay? I think it's very important, and I hope you guys think it's very important too. So the way that this is going to work is these are your 3 main colors. Have you guys done, oh, there's no test, Melinda. There's no test. Have you guys done watercoloring, or does anybody have like I guess you would say like a basic understanding of how color theory works? So for instance, if you mix blue with yellow, you're going to get green. If you get blue with red, you're going to get a purple. If you do red with yellow, you are going to get an orange. Very basic. Okay, perfect. So I'm giving you this color wheel because I want you guys to understand how basically watercoloring is going to work with inks. Okay, so basically the way that this works is, and I've given you, so you'll see on your next page, I've given you a blank one. I've given you a blank one. Yes, commercial art in high school. Yes, absolutely, Dawn. I've given you a blank one so that you can create your own ending. But I'm going to go through the basics with you, okay? So the way that this is going to work is I want you to grab, and this is not something that is necessary. If you don't have ink sitting around, although I'm fairly certain that a lot of you guys will have quite a few inks sitting around, you're going to want to go ahead and you're going to want to begin to take your wheel and you're going to want to kind of make it match this one. Now, you're a graphic designer, Gyps. That's fantastic. You're going to want to kind of make it match this wheel. Now, you don't have to have the exact same colors, okay? I want to preface this. You don't have to have the exact same colors. So this yellow, if you want to use phone book, you can use phone book. This blue, use cornflower. This red, use wagon. You know, use the colors that you have, and then you're going to fill in these other colors here. So I want to show you very quickly Well, not very quickly. We still have a good solid 15 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Brutus Monroe water brush, and I'm going to take, we're going to do phone book, and we'll do cornflower today. And you want to keep this handy as your guide. Something that I would absolutely suggest that you do is take this, pop it up on something in front of you. Pop this up on something in your workspace so that you have all of this. Okay, does that make sense, guys? Keep this, because this is going to help you. I promise. This is going to help you in the long run. Okay, so what you'll do is just keep this guy next to you. Let me move this out of the way. Keep this guy next to you. And what you can do is you're going to take your cornflower ink. I'm just going to lay this down. This is a nice and juicy ink as well. I'm going to grab some water. And this is what's going to be kind of crazy. And you're just going to add a little bit of water, and look how it becomes a watercolor. Isn't that cool? The same ink, the same exact ink that you would use, the same exact ink that is going to be permanent has just become a watercolor. Isn't that crazy? I know, it's crazy. So you're just going to go in and you're going to add your color, okay? Just pick up some more. Go ahead on in and add in your color. If you don't have a water brush, we do sell them in the store, Mary Beth. We do. I believe just the only ones that are in stock right now, I believe, are the medium tip, which is the one that I'm using now. But really, any of them would work for this purpose. Just search water brush. And I love our water brushes because they make it really, really simple. Really, really simple. So I'm going to go in and I'm just going to add in some color. And again, you can saturate more in some areas. You can undersaturate in other areas. It's completely up to you. As I always say, create your own ending. It's very simple to do. And you can see now we're watercoloring with that same ink that's permanent. I know, guys. It's crazy. I said the same thing. You can do that. Absolutely, Vicky. Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. Okay, now I'm just going to use some squeaky clean, and that's going to clean out my brush beautifully. They sure do, Ronnie. That is a great question. So what's going to happen now, and this is what's going to seem even crazier, is once these dry back completely, they're permanent again. Oh, that's okay. Thank you, Dee. Oh, good. Right? That's the best part. No mess, right? No mess. Okay, so now I'm going to clean this off of my mat. No mess. Okay, so now I've cleaned out my water brush. Clean off my desk here a little bit. All right, so now I'm going to take the phone book. Thanks so much for coming, Dee. I can't wait to see you in part 2. Isn't that cool, Vicky? That's one of my favorite parts. So now I'm going to take some phone book. And again, my pads are very, very juicy because I just thieved these from the store. Don't tell anyone. Okay, so now I'm going to take the phone book. And again, just give it a little bit of oomph. Get that blended in there. Then I'm going to go in and I'm just going to color in up in this area. Okay? Just color in this area. You can use as little or as much water as you would like. Again, mine's going to look very dull on the camera because of the bright lights, but I promise you it does not look that dull in real life. But again, I am... Shout out to the hubby, Mary Beth. I approve that he did that for you. That is fantastic. That is fantastic. Yeah, I would suggest grabbing a water brush if you guys don't have them, especially the Brutus Monroe ones, because our water brushes have a little chamber in here. I don't know if you see that little chamber. It's a little black chamber so that the water will not come back in. The water will not come back in. Oh, good, Dawn. How you doing? Good? You doing okay? You doing all right with the stencil? I mean the stencil. I was just looking ahead. Oh my goodness. You doing all right with the water brush? How's it looking? Good? Right, Mary Beth? Yeah, there's a little chamber inside. That's why you don't want to squeeze too hard on it, because it will not, the water won't come back in, because that was something, a big complaint that I had when I first started using water brushes, was that if I dipped it into my paint and squeezed on this, the water would come back in. And then you would have gross water in here, and you don't want that. So, well, you're just going to want to see where it says push. You want to gently push to where you see a little bit of water coming down. But I'll have people that are going like this to try to get the water to come out. You don't want to do that, because you can ruin your water brush very easily. Oh, it's okay. It'll be saturated. Just use, if you have Squeaky Clean, use Squeaky Clean. You can use some Dawn dish detergent, hand sanitizer, all sorts of different things. Yeah, these don't drip, again, because of the chamber that's inside of it. Okay? All right, so what you're going to do, this is a part of your homework, is you're going to fill this out completely when you have time. Don't worry if you have an oopsie-whoopsie, and if you mess up, come back to it and just do a different, print another one, okay? Oh, yes, you definitely have to get the Squeaky Clean. I think we might be out of the spray, but just get yourself a refill in the dispenser. Get yourself the refill and the dispenser. I promise you, you won't be disappointed. Okay, so this is the way it's going to look when it's done. Make sure to fill this in, okay? Yeah, the dispenser is my favorite thing, and I'll show you what the dispenser looks like real quick, because I just happen to have one right here because I use mine all the time. The dispenser is basically so you don't have to spray it. So you'll see it locks closed, but when you turn it, you push down, and the Squeaky Clean comes out of the top here so that you can just put it. Oh, it does smell like rose water, Mary Beth. Does anybody have Squeaky Clean? We did get more, Lori. We just got it in. Does anybody here have the Squeaky Clean? Because if you do, you guys know it's very pretty. It smells very good. Part 2 is hopefully next week, Gyps. That's what my plan is. Part 2 is hopefully next week. Oh, it smells so different. I will take a moment to sniff. Hold on. Yes, I clean everything with it too. Okay, so we're going to do this one here. Okay, this will be our last one. You put your eye makeup remover in the dispenser. Oh, yeah, I would definitely put anything in there. I use tap water. Tap water, you can use distilled water too. And then this page is going to be homework 2, and I'll show you what this page, the homework is for this homework 2 for when we come back. Because we're almost at an hour and 10 minutes. And you know I could be on here with you all night, but YouTube, even if it's a link, will only allow us on for so long. Oh, I'm sorry. How do you fill out the rest of it? Okay, so basically what you're going to do is the yellow. So do you see how it points upwards? Do you see how it points upwards? And I'm going to make notes so that I remember to tell the next class this. So it points upwards. So see that arrow? It makes a natural arrow. That's where you're going to do the full color, okay? This arrow goes to here, and this arrow goes to here, okay? Do you see how that goes there? So those are your natural colors. This here, so I'll circle this. This here is these two colors together. This here is these two colors together. And this here are these two colors together. Do you see how that works? So bam, bam, here, bam, bam, here, bam, bam, here, okay? And then we're going to go with the arrows again. So this here is this natural color, okay? This here is this natural color, and this here is this natural color. Do you see how that works? Maybe I'll add arrows to it next time. And the mat or the paper, it's up to you, Dawn, however you want to do it. Okay? And then the way this works is this color. So basically, how do I want to explain this? Like this. This color and this color equals this color. Okay? And so on and so forth. So this color, let me move on over. This color and this color is going to equal that color. This color and this color is going to equal this color. This color and this color is going to equal this color. And this color and this color is going to equal that color. Okay? So you just move all the way around the wheel and just keep on creating new colors. And this is going to help you figure out how you can take, right? Isn't that, I thought this was kind of cool whenever I was figuring it out. I thought so. Correct, Jerry. So basically, I'm showing you how to take these main three colors, and turning them into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 colors. Is that right? No, 12 colors, excuse me. 12 colors. Does that make sense? Okay. So now let's get to this last page, and then we'll talk about the final page, because we can't go any further than an hour and a half, or else YouTube, I get a ding. So usually this is an hour class, but I knew I was going to take more time with you guys because I knew I would just want to chat away. I knew I would just want to chat away. Okay. So now what you're going to do is you are going to grab, so everyone open up your box, and I don't know if you guys already have your boxes open. You are going to grab your stencil, your special little stencil. Your special little stencil, okay? We're going to talk about blending with the stencil. All right. You found a Mickey head right off? Yep. Okay, so now what I'm going to do for mine is I'm going to tape mine down. You don't have to tape yours down. I'm just doing so because I'm using, again, like I said, I'm using just regular paper and not cardstock. So that's why I'm taping mine down, but you don't have to tape yours down, okay? And we're going to go over the basic fundamentals of blending. And you can tape it off even further if you want. I'm going to tape mine down a little bit further. It's completely up to you. We're using the big circle, though. We're using the big circle. It is the bokeh stencil. Yes, Tracy. I actually created the stencil for the class, and then I liked it so much for the bokeh that I included it in the bokeh kit. I included it in the bokeh kit. So you'll have two of these if you got the bokeh kit. Yep, you'll have two of them. This stencil was actually created for this class when I started doing this class. So, yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some Oz ink, and you're going to use both colors for this. Okay. Both colors of surface ink that you got for the class. And I'm going to start. Okay. So pay attention, everyone, before you try to go right on into this. And I'm going to start up here in the corner and just gently, 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 only half of the circle. You see what I'm doing? Only half of the circle. Only half of the circle. Do you see that? I'm going to lift it up for you guys. Only half of the circle. See that? Okay. Then you're going to take your other color, depending on which kit you got. You either got Rouge or Wagon. Circular motion. Yes, Ronnie, circular motion. Now I'm going to take my rock candy because my kit had rock candy and Oz in it. Your kit, again, may have had the Rouge and Wagon. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to blend. Circular motion. Circular, gentle circular motion. Okay? Now I'm going to peel mine off to show you. And yours should look very similar. Look at that. And I'm assuming most of yours looks very similar. How simple is that? My goodness. How cool does that look? And all we had to do was use our blending tool. Use your blending tool. And this is the surface inks. So this is what you would normally think that you would see with like a dye ink or a pigment ink. But since the surface inks are both, plus chalk, you can do this and it would be permanent on something. Okay? So I want you guys to go in and continue to make more circles. Do them with different colors if you have different colors. Test out the different sizes of circles that are on here and really put it to the test. And it's going to be really, really cool and really, really interesting. So you're going to do that with a whole bunch of different colors, okay? That's a part of your homework. And the last part of your homework is this one here. So what I want you guys to do here, and I'm going to show you on the color wheel, and I'm going to write it down on here so it makes a little bit more sense, okay? So this is called color wheel blending. And the way that this works is you are going to take two colors on the color wheel. So I've given you three because you have three different possibilities. So basically you would take, let me grab my pen again. You are going to take, I don't even know if this side writes. Nope, not very well. So you would take yellow. And if you want to write above here, you can. Yellow and red. And you're going to blend yellow. So blend, 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 blend over to here. And then the red, blend, 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 blend over to here. You're going to want to overlap ever so slightly until you get a new color in the center. Okay? This one, the same thing. And you can use whichever inks you would like. I would suggest, of course, using the Brutus Monroe surface inks if you have them. But if not, use any inks that you would like. So this one we're going to do red and blue. Okay, so blend, 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 blend to here. Blend, 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 blend to here. Good. I'm so glad you took it too, Lori. I can't wait till you guys see the next class. It's all about embossing, and I can't wait till you guys see what you get in that kit. Okay, so next you're going to do, okay, so we did yellow, red, red, blue. So now obviously it is going to be blue, okay, and yellow. Blend, 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 blend. Blend, 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 blend. And then these two are going to then be overlapped a little bit. So this red and yellow is obviously, so in the center here, you should see an orange. Red and blue, you should see a purple. Blue and yellow, you should see a green. Okay, and I want you to try. It does not matter which one you go to first. Margot, you won't get more stuff. We're going to use the other stuff that's in your kit. Well, if you take another class, if you take the embossing class from me, you do get more stuff. Yes. Every class that I offer, you will get a box. The next class is called Embossabilities. Embossabilities. Which I think is going to be fun. And it doesn't matter if you go light or dark first. You're going to be able to sign up for the embossing class probably the first to second week of September. I'll tell you guys all about that as soon as I'm trying to get us heat guns for that class. So the sooner that I know that we can get the heat guns, the sooner no, I'm sorry, Dawn. I didn't mean to confuse you. The next class is still simplification of surfaces. We're still doing simplification of surfaces. So simplification of surfaces is 3 parts. So the next part, and you'll see on your workbook, you'll get the other part of your workbook this week. So this is part 1. So you won't have another title page, but it will say part 2. Okay? And it will give you an overview of part 2. Then you'll have part 3. So part 1 is Ink 101. Part 2 is Surface Spray 101. And part 3 is Surfaces 101. So part 3, you'll actually receive, or in part 3, we'll talk about the ink and the surface sprays on the surfaces. Whereas in part 1, we just talk about the ink. Part 2, we just talk about the surface sprays. Part 3, it all comes together and it will all start to make sense. The next class that I'm offering is actually called Embossabilities, which is all about heat embossing. And the reason I haven't fully announced it yet is because I'm trying to get a really good price for us for the Wagner heat tool in the box, so that you guys can all get one in your class kit. That's what I'm trying for, okay? That's what I'm trying for. That's my goal, okay? All right. Well, that's everything for class today, class. You guys have been awesome. I hope, did you guys have a good time in the almost hour and a half we spent together? I hope you guys had a good time. And this is only it. This is only class 1. Thank you, Jerry. This is only class 1. You get 2 more classes. I think that's pretty great I think that's awesome for the price. I mean, personally, I think so. Plus all the goodies. So awesome, you guys. I want to thank you all so much for being a part of my life. Thank you for hanging out with me. I love you all so, so very much. Make sure to head on over to brutusmonroe.com if you want to pick up any of the items that we talked about tonight. The great thing about this is, since it's just you guys with me, there's not hundreds and hundreds of people that are rushing to the website right now, and you'll be able to grab stuff if you want it. Yes, there will be another workbook. The next time you get the workbooks, though, you're going to get both, okay? You're going to get both. So just so you know, when you get your next email, which I believe is going to be Wednesday, is what it says on the calendar, you are actually going to receive part 2 and 3 at the same time, okay? Oh, and I want to show you guys this real quick. Look at how bright this got since it's dried. Oh my goodness, is that bright? Is it that bright? Oh my goodness. So make sure to grab some of this Brutus Monroe pigment, alabaster pigment ink if you can. Isn't that cool? So, all right, thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of my life. I can't wait to see you guys on Monday. I won't be here tomorrow because I'm not going to say I won't be here tomorrow. I might be here tomorrow. I'm not 100% certain yet. I won't be on this feed, which is our private feed, but I will be on, I think, live at some point. I think I'm going to try to do a craft with some dollar store stuff. I think that'll be fun because I've never done any dollar store crafting videos. So I think it's going to be kind of fun to try to do something with Dollar Tree supplies. I think that'll be really cool because it'll be completely out of my element. So thank you all so much. I love you all to pieces. I will see you guys, excuse me, very soon. So since your inks are all surface, we don't really need no other brands of types. Dawn, I can safely say yes. I can safely say yes. you can get as many types of inks as you would like, but the reason I created surface inks really, truly, and sincerely was so that you would never need another type of ink. That's why I created the surface inks. Yeah, that's why I created them. So you wouldn't need any other type. I wanted one really, really, really good ink in a whole bunch of colors instead of like 20 inks in like 8 colors. So that's why I developed them. So thank you all so much. Remember to create your own ending. Love you all to pieces. Can't wait to see you guys soon. Have a wonderful night and bye-bye.